seriously popular.
Welcome to The Life of You, where we dig into your dilemmas and help you find solutions for life's tougher moments. I'm joined by the amazing Abbey Feltham, who's back to help me tackle some of your questions.
I've been given 15 years to live, and I want to spend that 15 years feeling as much joy as possible.
The Life of You with my guest Abbey Feltham right after this.
Yeah, sure thing. Hey, you sold that car yet?
Yeah, sold it to Carvana.
Oh, I thought you were selling to that guy.
The guy who wanted to pay me in foreign currency, no interest, over 36 months? Yeah, no. Carvana gave me an offer in minutes, picked it up, and paid me on the spot. It was so convenient.
Just like that.
Yeah?
No hassle.
None.
That is super convenient.
Sell your car to Carvana and swap hassle for convenience. Pickup fees may apply.
What is... Dax, are you?
Tracking all our cars on Carvana Value Tracker on all our devices? Yes, Kristen, yes I am.
Well, I've been looking for my phone for...
In Dax's domain, we see all. So we always know what our cars are worth.
All of them?
All of them. Value surge, trucks up 3.9%.
That's a great offer.
I know. Sell?
Sell.
Track your car's value with Carvana Value Tracker today.
We've got some practical questions about sobriety, which I like. So this is one from a guy called Tom, and he says, I've been sober for 6 months after struggling with alcohol addiction, but my friends still don't take it seriously and often pressure me to drink. How do I make them understand it's a real problem for me without cutting them out of my life?
Ooh. I hear this quite often, and the way that I dealt with this, and this was right for me, I was completely honest with my friends. When I stopped drinking, I told them why, and I was very blunt with it and said, I'm stopping drinking because I'm really depressed, and also I'm an alcoholic, and if I don't stop drinking, I think bad things are going to happen. So with that information, they have been able to support me in the best way. So they now know that offering me a drink or pressurizing me to drink or saying, you can only hang out with us if you have a drink.
Is a dickhead move.
Yeah, that's an awful thing to do. It's like saying, hey, drink this poison that's going to kill you to like your best friend. Like you wouldn't do that.
I do think like when someone gets sober, it definitely holds a mirror up to other people as well. And they go, oh, you know, and I always remember being really uncomfortable around people that were sober because when I was still drinking, because it was like, I don't really want to know about this. And Tom says, how can I make them understand it's a real problem for me without cutting them out of my life? I think the truth is, if you are at a stage where you have to get sober and it is life and death, actually, sometimes you do have to cut some people out of your life, you know, and it doesn't have to be that vicious and it doesn't have to be that, you know, I'm sorry, I'm not ever talking to you again. But naturally, when you get sober, you are sort of like your energy changes. And, you know, the truth is, I'm sure that you feel the same as this, Abbey, is that I don't want to go out with people who are drinking.
It's my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean, I do go to the pub with my friends and they drink, and I go to house parties sometimes where people get drunk. Yeah, because I want to hang out with my friends. But I leave at like 9. Or
I'm like, if you want to be my friend, you have to move in with me and come and sit on the sofa and watch Grey's Anatomy with me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, Abbey, but when I go to like a dinner or something and I see people just have like one drink and they're like, oh, no more. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what kind of sorcery is that?
Yeah, like what's wrong with you? And I'm reminded of why I'm not allowed to drink.
Well, I think this is something for Tom, really. Like, I think for his friends to understand that his decision to get sober is a personal decision. It doesn't mean that just because he's not drinking, it doesn't mean that he's anti-alcohol and he's judging everyone else for drinking. Like, maybe Tom doesn't want alcohol around him.
I had a thing for a long time where I was like, maybe I'll get better at going out in the evening with friends. And I've come to accept now at the grand old age of 44 and a half, like, no, that ship has sailed and I'd done all my socializing, you know, because it's quite a daunting thing to go out and be sober while everyone around you is pissed.
Yeah, definitely. And also, you know, I think when I first started socializing as a sober person, I got it into my mind that I'd still have to be out until 3 a.m. and I'd still have to talk to people who I didn't really care about, but I just have to do it sober. And then I realised, oh, actually, I can still go out, but I can just have a completely different night. Like I can just talk to my friends and I can leave at 9 p.m.
When they start repeating themselves, that is your cue to get in an Uber.
Yeah, I don't have to stay there all night and I'm in control of that. So it's like my nights look different, but I can control them and do what I want to do. And that's spending time with people I love and then going home.
Tom, my final thought is come and be friends with me and Abby.
We'll show you a good time, Tom. We won't pressure you to drink and you can drink sparkling water with us.
We'll just pressure you to watch a true crime documentary or an episode of Grey's Anatomy. Question number 2 is from Eddie. Eddie says, I've recently been diagnosed with a serious illness and I'm overwhelmed with fear and anxiety about my future. How did you cope, Abby, with your diagnosis? And how can I stay positive when things feel hopeless?
Well, it's important to acknowledge that serious illnesses and things like cancer, especially when they're terminal, it's terrifying, it's scary and it's uncertain and it makes you think about death all the time. It's almost like a clock starts ticking. And that's the reality of it. So I think acknowledging that it is a scary thing, it's completely natural to feel that way. And it's part of the human experience, you know, that's always helped me. It's okay to be scared and everyone's scared of death because that's the reality. We're facing our immortality. Getting a serious diagnosis is like everyone's worst fear. Certainly, when I didn't think about dying before I got diagnosed and now I have to think about it all the time. But coming to a place of acceptance really helped me.
Do you think we need to get better about talking about death in this country?
Definitely, absolutely. I do think we need to be more open about it. We don't talk about it because no one wants to think about dying, even though we're all going to do it. No one wants to think about dying. But, you know, I talk and think about death a lot now and it has helped me think about the future. I've accepted that I'm going to die a lot younger than I thought I would. And I want to spend the rest of that time enjoying myself. Maybe that's, you know, a little bit like self-absorbed. Like I just
not at all.
But, you know, I am going to look after my loved ones. But I also, I've been given 15 years to live. And I want to spend that 15 years feeling as much joy as possible, bringing as much joy into other people's life and not making myself miserable or being stuck in this loop about thinking like, am I going to die today? Will I die tomorrow? Because it's going to happen anyway. I don't want to waste any time ruminating. But again, it's very important to acknowledge how difficult being faced with death is. I find hope in knowing that even if the rest of my life looks a lot different than I thought it would be, I can still enjoy it. Like I might not ever buy a house or I might not ever have children, which is a lot different to how I wanted my life to turn out. But even though it does look different, I can still enjoy that piece of life I have left.
Still has huge worth and value.
Yeah. And then so like I continue moving forward and appreciating each day because there is life after a terminal diagnosis. It's just different than what I had expected.
Wow. What's up? I just bought and financed a car through Carvana in minutes.
You? The person who agonized 4 weeks over whether to paint your walls eggshell or off-white bought and financed a car in minutes?
They made it easy. Transparent terms, customizable down and monthly. Didn't even have to do any paperwork.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Hey, have you checked out that spreadsheet I sent you for our dinner options?
Finance your car with Carvana and experience total control. Financing subject to credit approval.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be.
One more? Okay, it's from Eileen. And she says, I've been in recovery from addiction, but I recently relapsed and feel really ashamed. How do I pick myself up after setbacks and stop being so hard on myself?
I personally have never experienced relapse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you just stopped and that was that?
Yeah.
Well, Eileen,
I'm a proper little psycho.
Eileen, I've experienced many relapses. Not for 7 years now, but I definitely, this is not my first rodeo, as they say. And, the thing I've learned about relapses is that they're your story and everyone has a different story. And sometimes you have to go out and learn a bit more, and you are still worthy of recovery. And I also think I remember the last time I relapsed, I remember getting to day 3 and feeling absolutely so much shame and just so awful. And I met up with a woman who was in recovery, and she had many, many years sobriety. And I said to her, I just don't want to have to do day 3 again. I just can't do this again. And she said, well, you don't ever have to. You don't ever have to. Just don't pick up a drink. And it was like this light bulb went on in my head where I was like, oh, right, okay. Do you know what I mean? I don't have to put myself through this again, and it was like a little subtle shift. And I think also that almost competitive element, the validation element of looking and seeing the kind of days clock up, which I still get a thrill out of now, 7 years later. And it's do whatever you have to do to keep not picking up a drink. If it's an hour at a time, it's an hour at a time. People say a day at a time. It could be a minute. It could be a second at a time. And if you have a problem with alcohol, which it sounds like you do, your brain wants you to drink, right? So it's not that unusual. Don't shame yourself. Alcoholic's gonna alcohol, you know? And that's not to say go out and have another drink, because I want you, Eileen, to know that you're worthy of not having to drink and that you can get through this. And I want you to be safe as well, crucially.
Sobriety and recovery, it's not a destination. It's not you start at alcoholism and you end in
Zen.
Yeah. and it's not a straight line.
No,
you can go
not a straight line.
You can go off course, and just because you have gone off course, it doesn't mean that
this is a good
can't
one.
rejoin that path. If you were driving from A to B and your car broke down halfway,
you wouldn't just give up.
You wouldn't just give up. Go
or you got lost.
Yeah, you'd get back in the car and you'd go from that point, and then you'd carry on. And yeah, like I said, sobriety isn't a destination that you get to and then everything's happy and lovely for the rest of your life. It's non-linear. It goes up and down. What's important is that when you're on that journey is that you look after your best interest, you look after yourself. And if you slip up, you can always rejoin the road.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And you don't lose what you've learned before. This is hard. And I think the other thing to remember is, though, but it's not as hard as the alternative. So keep going. If you slip up, just get back on that horse.
Yeah, it's not game over.
No. Right, my weekly recommendation. The reason I'm mentioning it now is because I put a story up on my Instagram the other day wearing this thing. And every time I do it, people are like, what the hell? People do it less now because they are more common. But I first got one of these in 2019. I was well ahead of the curve. And that is why I look so damn young. I'm actually 85. Did you know that? It is my LED mask. I have the one by the Light Salon, Boost by the Light Salon. I should declare here that it was gifted to me. But it was gifted to me 5 years ago and I love it. It's incredible. And not just because I don't know if it actually makes my skin any better, but what I do know is that sitting under that LED light, looking like Jason from Halloween, I find it incredibly relaxing. Hit subscribe, tell a friend how amazing this podcast is, and I'll see you on Monday.